The hot dog looks like the simplest food in America. A sausage, a bun, maybe mustard, ketchup, onions, relish, chili, cheese, or whatever your city has decided is morally acceptable. But behind that little handheld meal is one of the strangest stories in American food history. Because the hot dog is not just a snack from a ballpark or a street cart. It is immigration, industrial meat, city life, baseball, advertising, regional identity, cheap hunger, and public suspicion all packed into one bite. Like many foods that became famous in America, the hot dog did not begin as a perfectly American invention. Its roots go back to European sausage traditions, especially German-speaking immigrants who brought frankfurters, wieners, and old-world sausage-making skills into the United States during the 19th century. These sausages were not mysterious to them. They were familiar food, practical food, working people's food. Meat could be chopped, seasoned, preserved, smoked, cooked, and sold in a form that was easy to carry and easy to eat. But when that sausage entered American cities, something changed. America did what America often does with food. It made it faster, cheaper, louder, more portable, more commercial, and eventually more symbolic than anyone expected. The key was not just the sausage, the key was the bun. A sausage by itself is food. A sausage inside bread becomes a system. It becomes something you can eat while walking down a crowded street, sitting in a stadium, standing at a lunch counter, or rushing between shifts. It does not need a plate. It does not need a knife or fork. It barely needs your attention. That made it perfect for the America that was growing in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a country of crowded cities, busy workers, street vendors, factories, trains, amusement parks, and people who needed food that could move at the speed of modern life. But the hot dog also had a problem from the beginning, and that problem was trust. Ground and processed meat has always made people a little nervous, because when meat is chopped and stuffed into a casing, the eater cannot see exactly what went into it. A steak looks like a steak. A chicken leg looks like a chicken leg. But a sausage asks you to believe the person who made it. That is why the hot dog became the perfect food for rumors. People joked about what was inside it. People questioned it. People loved it anyway. That tension is part of the hot dog's identity. It is one of the only foods that Americans can make jokes about while actively eating another one. The name itself helped create the legend. Nobody completely agrees on the exact moment the phrase hot dog became the phrase everyone used, but the basic idea was connected to jokes about dachshunds, German sausages, and the long shape of the food. The name was funny, a little rude, easy to remember, and impossible to make sound elegant. That may actually be one reason it worked. A hot dog was never trying to be fancy. It was not pretending to be fine dining. It was cheap, hot, salty, quick, and slightly ridiculous. That made it feel honest in a way. The hot dog did not ask you to admire it. It asked you if you were hungry. Street vendors helped make it famous because the format was almost perfect for selling food outdoors. A vendor could cook sausages, keep them warm, serve them quickly, and feed a lot of people with very little ceremony. In New York, Chicago, Coney Island, and other crowded urban places, the hot dog became part of the rhythm of public life. It belonged to sidewalks, carts, fairs, beaches, parks, and amusement crowds. Coney Island especially became one of the great stages for the hot dog. The story of Nathan's Famous begins there in 1916, when Nathan Handwerker opened a small hot dog stand that sold hot dogs for less than his competitors. Whether every detail of the legend has been polished over time or not, the larger truth is clear. Cheap hot dogs at Coney Island became more than a meal. They became a public ritual. People went to the beach, rode rides, walked the boardwalk, and ate hot dogs that tasted like summer, crowds, salt air, and noise. That is how a food becomes powerful. It attaches itself to a place and a feeling. Once that happens, people are not just buying lunch, they are buying memory. Baseball pushed the hot dog even deeper into American culture. The connection feels so natural now that it almost seems like it was always there, but it had to be built. Stadiums needed food that could be sold quickly to thousands of people. Fans needed something they could eat in their seats. The hot dog was perfect. It was warm, compact, affordable, and easy to sell by the thousands. Over time, the phrase hot dogs and baseball became almost inseparable. You could watch a game without eating one, but somehow the stadium itself seemed to suggest it. The smell of grilled or steamed hot dogs, the sound of vendors shouting, the paper wrapper, the mustard, the plastic seat, the scoreboard, the crowd, all of it fused together. The hot dog became part of the American sports experience, not because it was the best food in the world, but because it was exactly the right food for the setting. That is one of the secrets of American food history. The food that wins is not always the most refined. It is the food that fits the moment. The hot dog fit a lot of moments. It fit baseball. It fit lunch breaks. It fit road trips. It fit cookouts. It fit children's meals, street corners, convenience stores, gas stations, county fairs, backyard grills, and 4th of July parties. That last one matters because the hot dog became attached to American celebration. On Independence Day, Americans grill enormous numbers of hot dogs, not because the hot dog is historically connected to the founding of the country, but because it became connected to the modern feeling of summer, family, fire, smoke, paper plates, and casual abundance. In a strange way, the hot dog became patriotic by being ordinary. It was not a ceremonial dish. It was the thing everyone could recognize. That is why it could become a symbol. But unlike the hamburger, which often invites customization and debate, the hot dog created something even more intense: regional rules. Different places in America turned the hot dog into a local identity test. In Chicago, the classic Chicago-style hot dog is almost architectural, with yellow mustard, chopped onions, bright green relish, tomato slices, a pickle spear, sport peppers, celery salt, and a poppy seed bun. It is colorful, specific, and famously hostile to ketchup. In New York, the hot dog often means mustard and sauerkraut or onion sauce, something quick from a cart, eaten standing up or walking away. In Detroit, the Coney dog means chili, mustard, and onions, even though the name points back to Coney Island. In the South, you might find slaw dogs. In other places, chili cheese dogs become the main event. In Seattle, cream cheese appears, which sounds strange until people from Seattle defend it like a family member. This is what makes the hot dog so interesting. It is standardized and deeply local at the same time. The basic structure is always recognizable, but the toppings tell you where you are. A hot dog is a map you can eat. It also reveals how Americans argue about food. Ketchup on a hot dog, especially for adults, can become a surprisingly emotional topic. Some people think it is fine. Some people think it is childish. Some people treat it like a crime against the sausage. The argument is funny because the food itself is not exactly delicate. We are talking about a processed sausage in bread. But that is the power of food identity. The less formal a food is, the more personal the rules can become. People defend the version they grew up with because it tastes like home. The hot dog also became an industrial food, and that part of the story is less romantic. As America's meat industry grew, hot dogs became mass-produced, packaged, branded, and distributed everywhere. Refrigeration, factory production, grocery stores, and national advertising made the hot dog a household food. Families could buy packs of hot dogs and buns, cook them at home, and create an easy meal in minutes. For busy parents, this was convenience. For kids, it was fun. For companies, it was a perfect product, cheap to make, easy to brand, easy to repeat, and tied to emotion. Advertising helped clean up the hot dog's image, or at least make people comfortable with it. Brands emphasized quality, family, tradition, and trust. That was important because the old suspicion never fully disappeared. People still asked what hot dogs were made of. Companies needed shoppers to believe that the mystery was under control. In that sense, the hot dog's history is also a history of American trust in food systems. The more industrial food became, the more branding had to reassure people. A package was not just packaging. It was a promise. At the same time, the hot dog remained democratic in a way few foods can. It can be incredibly cheap, but it can also be dressed up. It can come from a street cart, a stadium, a backyard grill, a gas station roller, a diner, a famous regional stand, or a trendy restaurant trying to reinvent nostalgia. It can be eaten by a kid after school or by an adult at midnight after a long day. It can be part of a celebration or a desperate meal. That flexibility is why it survived. Health trends changed. Food culture changed. People became more aware of processed meat, sodium, preservatives, and nutrition. Still, the hot dog did not disappear. It adapted. Turkey dogs appeared. Veggie dogs appeared. Plant-based dogs appeared. All beef dogs became a selling point. Natural casing became a mark of texture and quality. Gourmet hot dogs showed up with unusual toppings. But the original idea remained almost impossible to kill. A hot sausage in a soft bun, eaten by hand, dressed with something sharp, sweet, spicy, or messy. The hot dog survives because it is a format, not just a recipe. You can change the meat, change the bun, change the toppings, change the city, change the price, and it still feels like a hot dog. That is rare. Most foods are more fragile than that. The hot dog can absorb almost anything and still remain itself. But maybe the strangest thing about the hot dog is how much culture it can carry while looking so unserious. It is connected to immigrants who brought sausage traditions across the ocean. It is connected to American cities that needed fast street food. It is connected to industrial meat packing and the anxiety that came with processed food. It is connected to Coney Island, baseball, backyard grilling, regional pride, childhood lunches, cheap dates, late-night hunger, and national holidays. It is funny, suspicious, beloved, mocked, defended, and eaten in huge numbers. That is a very American combination. America often turns practical food into emotional symbols. The hot dog began as a way to make sausage portable, but it became a way to sell speed, comfort, memory, and belonging. It is not beautiful in the traditional sense. It is not complicated. It does not need to be explained before you eat it. That directness is part of its power. A hot dog says, "Here is something warm, salty, soft, and familiar. Eat it now." And for more than a century, Americans have kept saying yes. So the next time you see a hot dog at a ballpark, on a grill, at a street cart, or spinning slowly under gas station lights, do not think of it as just a cheap snack. Think of it as one of the most successful portable meals America ever adopted. A European sausage transformed by American speed, sold by immigrants, trusted through branding, claimed by cities, wrapped in summer memory, and turned into a national icon that somehow still makes people argue about ketchup. That is the real story of the hot dog. It is simple because it has to be. It is strange because America made it that way, and it is still here because few foods have ever understood hunger, convenience, nostalgia, and public life quite as well.